Yeah. So hey guys, again welcome back to our channel. Ukituona hivi mnajua ni time to announce a new car's arrival. The car we have in front of us is a Suzuki Alto 2019 year of manufacture. It arrived today and I know maybe you are wondering why is it that we are reviewing it here. Saa hizi hata maybe my cameraman anaweza waonyesha hapa juu. Tuko hapa Total Petrol Station hii side ya hii barabara inaitwa aje, side za Komarok. So hapo ndipo tuko na ndipo tunafanya review ya hii gari. So why we are doing the review right from here is because unlike the many cars that I have shown you on this channel, hii gari client aliendea Mombasa, akaidrive all the way from Mombasa akafika Nairobi leo, sawa sawa. So that's why immediately he arrived, he told me to come and see the car because that is something that I have developed as a common practice. Gari ikifika, client before aingie nayo shughuli zake zote lazima nikuje niione, ni verify everything. So as you can see, it is a grade 4 car, extremely clean. We have not yet taken it to the car wash. And before I show you around this car, definitely lazima niwapigishe raudi muone imekuja na nini na chenye haijakuja nayo, because hata kama ni Suzuki Alto inakuanga na several trims. So kuna kuwa na Suzuki Alto L, kuna S na kuna F. Sawa sawa, so nitawapigisha round na niwaambie hii ni trim gani. But kama kawaida, every vehicle that we import, always it comes as a story. There is always a story behind it, because every client mwenye ana import gari, as you can imagine, anakujanga kwetu with a different mindset, anakuja na with a different attitude, with a different requirement. And the story behind this car ilianza around 1st of April. Okay, that is when we made the payment to Japan. And if I can remember the dates well, around 13th of April hiyo gari ndio ilipita inspection, then from 13th of April ikakaa until 2nd of May, hapo ndipo ilidepart Japan. So between May and June it was on transit. So hiyo meli pia ilichukua a very long trajectory, but we were monitoring it from step by step until hiyo gari ikafika in Kenya around 10th of July, and then 1 week clearing in Mombasa, the client akafika nayo Nairobi on 19th of July. Sawa sawa. So maybe my cameraman anaweza kuja niwapigishe tu just a simple round tour of this car and then niwapee the story behind this importation. Just to give you a quick tour, okay? Just show them around. Ukiona gari iko tu hivi na matawi, iko na uchafu hivi, ni vile imekaa kwa meli for a long time. Vile nimewaambia tulibuy on 1st of April na imetufikia 19th of July. So April, May, June, almost 3.5 months. Okay, 3.5 months. By the way, siku hizi gari zina delay kidogo, but ni sana sana hapo kwa shipping. So waonyeshe tu around, sawa sawa, is as good as you can imagine. Zero scratch, ilikuwa grade 4, sawa sawa, and then mileage yake ni 58,000 kilometers. So maybe waonyeshe tu hapa, hata ndani bado hatujaipeleka car wash. Yeah, very very clean. Okay, hata hapa nyuma naweza fungua. Okay, pia hapa nyuma naweza fungua. So wheel cap ziko hapo. The moment after kuosha tuta nini, after kuiosha gari tutazifix ama tutazifit in. Okay, so pia nikimaliza na story nitakuja niwaonyeshe. So hapo ndani nothing new, is a basic Suzuki Alto na imekuja na two keys. Okay, so iko na spare key, and I have told you out of the many cars I have brought, it is only one car that never came with a spare key. So hii pia iko na spare key. So nilikuwa tu nataka ni waambie the story behind this car because I feel it, I find it very interesting to learn the story of every client, and I don't know what you guys would ever want to hear from us so that you believe in the stories that we are doing about car importation. So vile huyu client alikuja kwangu, the first thing, you know what he told me? He told me that he wants to go for importation because he knew by importing he would save some money and also get a good car. But he told me that he had his own fears. He did not know how to trust someone 100%. Even if he is seeing that we are importing cars and delivering, he told me that I believe in your stories, but I don't know how to trust you. So, you know what he did? He came with a lawyer. And that thing slightly made me panic a bit, because he said, in as much as I have our own quotation, we have our own standard contract that we give to our clients. He told us that he doesn't feel well protected by our standard contract. So he came with his lawyer. He drafted a very long contract saying what must happen at what time, what is the responsibility of imports, what is the responsibility of the client. And let me tell you, I found that client was really justified by the actions that he was taking. Because, when you are importing, you can't just come and believe what we are telling you 100%. To some extent, you must also have your own expectation and have them protected. So we went through that legal process for a whole 2 weeks. So we had everything signed on paper. And let me tell you, that is the last time I saw that client being anxious. The moment we signed and he gave his auction deposit, we started giving him update every other time something happens that requires an update. We gave him an update. And let me tell you, until the last minute, I can post to you his screenshot of how much he was happy with our services. So he brought the lawyer, we signed the contract, and the process started. So we went through a number of vehicle selection, but one thing that was clear in his mind is that he wanted to save money. Sawa sawa. So he said that hiyo Suzuki Alto hataki ipitishe sijui 720,000, and I believe we delivered this car below 710,000. That's why we went for a slightly higher mileage, that is 58,000 kilometers, because as much as I advocate for less than 50,000, we were not able to get, a car below 50,000 that was falling within his budget. So the beauty of this story is that this client, I also advised him on the business he can do with this car. So right now, he has already bought PSV insurance, and he is awaiting on me to get him a reliable taxi driver for this car. So the moment he is done with the number plate and everything, I will connect him to a taxi driver that I already have in mind, a very reliable driver that will be working with his car maybe for the next 2-3 years. Hadi huyo driver maybe anunue yake, ama huyo amue what he will do next with his car. So when this story becomes part of a bigger picture, it becomes very interesting. For me, I don't see importation as just bringing in a car and dumping it to the client. Right now this car has arrived, and I will help him through the journey of getting a reliable taxi driver. And if you can remember, and if you have watched all my videos, there is a Nissan Days that I brought. Okay, you can scroll back my videos and you'll see that guy. I imported him a Nissan Days that was only 28,000 kilometers. I connected him to a taxi driver that coincidentally turned out to be a friend or an old friend in his own village. So right now, many months later, they are relating very well, and he is in the process of importing a second car, which is a Daihatsu Move. No, a Daihatsu Mira, which we have already bought from the auction, and it has passed inspection. It is awaiting ship booking. Imagine, one client already took us for taxi because I accompany them even through the journey of post-purchase, because I also understand the taxi business. So the other thing I wanted to tell you, I just wanted to maybe ask you guys, if you are looking forward to import a car, what would you ask from an importer for you to believe in them, for you to trust them? Okay? I think the case of this client was of a person who went over and above to think what they can do themselves, not what that importer can do for you. It is what you can do to secure the process by yourself. Sasawa, because in as much as you ask so many questions from an importer, they will find a way for them to answer those questions, and maybe just to make you happy. But at the end of the day, you must also have your own expectations and push to a level whereby you feel that your expectations have been met. But I also want to mention this, in this importation market, there are so many things that are uncertain. And if you want, by the way, I can share you some of the clauses of the contract that his lawyer drafted, which I found very interesting. Actually, it was not made to put me in a hard place or to put him in a place of favor. It was a contract that was drafted in a way that it is very, very objective, with recognition that shipping can delay, with recognition that this car can come and a tow cover is stolen, that this car can come and have a mechanical failure. And what is my role as, as a facilitator in the importation process? is to use information to the best of our ability and to the agent's access to information to get a car that is as clean as possible. You get my point? And then when that car is purchased, then we have that party um, companies that take over the process. If that car fails inspection in Japan, it will not be the fault of anyone. It will have to be repaired so that it matches what KEBS or QISJ requires of that car. And then after inspection, it has to wait until a ship is available. And then when my agent requests for ship booking, he has no control over the vessel that that car will be put inside. If it gets into a vessel that will have to go down to Johannesburg and then come back to Kenya, as compared to a car that would have departed from Japan straight to Kenya, we have zero control about that. So even you as an importer, when you are thinking about this process, think about it very objectively in a way that it serves the interest of both parties, okay? But most importantly, recognizing that there are so many things that are that are outside the control. But one thing that we guarantee you is that the vehicle we present to you in the pictures, in the auction sheet, will be the same vehicle that will get to you. It is the same vehicle that will arrive to you under the same conditions that we have promised. And then remember, before we purchase, you have to give us the green light. We cannot just go into the auction like this and pick any car and pay for it. Anytime we find a car that is fitting your budget and criteria, we present it to you and tell you, do you like this car? If you don't like, we pass. If you like, then we go into deeper due diligence research. And if all those comes out positive, is only at that point that we purchase. Okay? And then through that contract with the gentleman, I also came to learn something. You know, kitambo, hizi zinaitangwa Incoterms. Incoterms ni international shipping terms. They are used to be what we call CFR, okay? So cost and freight, and CIF, cost, insurance, and freight. But some years back, the Kenyan government, it changed everything. And you cannot right now import a car on CIF terms, meaning you cannot have marine insurance when you are importing your car. What does that mean? Kitambo, the agents in Japan, akiniuzia gari, alikuwa na include the cost of insuring that car. In case that ship sinks in the high seas, and then you lose your car completely, the CIF, the cost, insurance, and freight, could have get you compensated for that loss. But the government of Kenya will change so that you buy insurance locally. So if I'm importing this car from Japan, I will have to declare my car to a local insurance company, and then they'll do the valuation, and then I will insure this car in case there is a complete wreck of that ship. So that law, according to what I understood, it has not yet been put into place, and it is not being implemented yet. So it means every car that is being brought into Kenya, the shipping terms are CFR, meaning that if that ship sinks, you lose your car completely. Sawa, because in my discussion with that client, in the course of that contract, I went to my guy and asked him, "Are you able to give me a marine insurance?" He said, "It is not possible to buy marine insurance with Japanese companies. You have to talk with an insurance company in Kenya, either Britam or whoever, to insure this car along as it comes through the high seas." Right now, that is not possible. So guys, just know the risk you are taking. But remember, my guy has been in this business for as many years as you can count, and no ship has ever went down with cars. So why should that risk bother you? In as much as it is a risk that exists, but it shouldn't bother you. But saa hizi nimesikia kuna hizo discussions saa hizi ziko Kenya that you can be able to purchase your marine insurance from a local company. So once it becomes effective, nitakuwa tu na kupea the full quotation na kupea bill of lading, documents za gari zote. Wewe unaenda kwa insurance company hapo kama ni Britam, wanakupea quotation ya marine insurance. But up to now, it is still not yet functional. So guys, I hope I'm very, very honest with you. So if you need any information, if you need to ask us any question so that you can believe in us, come to us, okay? There are people who only comment on our social medias with very pertinent questions, but we are not able to address them as much as we may want. That's why we always put our number public there so that you guys can call us, you can text us, and we interact on one-on-one basis. So what else can I add? If any question, guys, reach out to me. Hii gari nimewambia ni grade 4, only 58,000 kilometers, and ilifika na kitu 710,000. The duty for this car ni kitu 208, and then the rest of the money you can work backward. So yeah, nothing else guys. Cheers and see you in my next import very soon. Niogwa.